Get ready to uncover the hidden layers of Uruguay, a South American gem that's not just about sun-kissed beaches and mouth-watering asado feasts. While tourists are drawn to the country's rich local cuisine, stunning historical landmarks, and unique architectural style, the truth is Uruguayan history has a darker side. From treacherous power struggles and brutal regimes to deep-seated racism, the past hasn't always been kind. But here's the exciting part. Recent archaeological discoveries are rewriting the narrative of Uruguay's fascinating, yet often untold story. What's up, CRZY2FF fam? Today we're digging into the fascinating history of Uruguay, a groundbreaking study led by brilliant anthropologists from Emory University and the University of the Republic in Montevideo has just turned our understanding on its head by analyzing the first ever complete genome sequences of ancient Uruguayan people. These archaeology rock stars are giving us a genetic glimpse into what life was like for indigenous populations before the devastating European colonization campaigns that nearly wiped them out. Get ready for some major mind-blowing stuff. According to John Lindo, Emory's DNA expert, their study reveals that the ancient Uruguayan folks had ancestry we've never seen in South America before. Talk about a game changer. This discovery is rocking the boat on our traditional view of Native Americans as one big group. It turns out South America was actually super diverse, with different regions having unique ancestral roots. So, where did this ancient Uruguayan DNA come from? The researchers analyzed remains from an 800-year-old man and a 1,500-year-old woman unearthed in eastern Uruguay by Gonzalo Figueroa. And here's the cool part, their DNA showed surprising links to Panama's ancient people, who used to cross the land bridge connecting North and South America, as well as to our Brazilian friends from eastern Brazil. So, here's what we found out. Despite being from South America, these ancient Uruguayans didn't share DNA similarities with modern Amazonians. That's some serious proof of separate migrations into our continent. It seems like there were actually two main waves of human settlement in South America, one leading to the Amazonian populations and another leading to those along the east coast. And let's talk about how long humans have been living in Uruguay, because it's a pretty wild story. We're talking over 10,000 years ago. That's even before the Europeans showed up in the early 1500s, making contact with the indigenous people who had already called this land home for thousands of years. Fast forward to the 1800s. It's a sad chapter in history. European colonizers launched aggressive campaigns to wipe out the indigenous people living in Uruguay, mainly the Charrúa tribe. But who exactly were these Charrúa? Back then, the term was used to describe the remaining hunter-gatherer groups scattered across the territory. Today, this ancient discovery is giving New Age Uruguayans a chance to explore their roots, literally. By analyzing DNA from these ancient remains, they might just be able to connect with their indigenous ancestors who thrived here before the Europeans arrived. And guess what? John Lindo and his team are the experts leading this journey, based at the Lindo Ancient DNA Lab. Their mission is to uncover previously unknown human lineages across the Americas. Talk about a fascinating quest. Now, you might be wondering why most ancient DNA labs are actually based in Europe. Well, it's because the cooler climate there helps preserve specimens much better than here in warmer regions. You might have noticed something interesting. While North America has seen a lot of ancient DNA research, South America hasn't gotten as much attention, and for good reason. The warm, humid climate here makes it super tough to find and preserve usable ancient DNA specimens. But hold on to your hats, folks, because things are changing thanks to advances in sequencing tech. It's like the game changer we've been waiting for. Now, if you're curious about your roots, and who isn't? You might be wondering, can I trace my ancestry back to Native Americans? John Lindo breaks it down for us. Yes, you could discover a piece of that Native American genome in your DNA. But here's the catch, because there aren't enough ancient references, it's unlikely you'll pinpoint a direct lineage. Get ready for a crucial piece of history. According to John Lindo, when Europeans arrived, they caused massive disruption. Entire civilizations got wiped out, and whole populations vanished. It's a sobering reminder that our ancestral stories are often shrouded in the shadows of these dark events. But here's where it gets exciting. Lindo wants to team up with local archaeologists and indigenous communities to bring their ancient DNA stories into the light. He's dreaming big. His vision is to create an online portal packed with more and more ancient DNA references from the Americas, making it easier for people to explore and understand their heritage. This journey begins in Uruguay during the 1800s, where colonizers launched brutal military campaigns against native tribes. One devastating event stands out: the Sasapudes Creek Massacre in 1831, where the Charrua tribe, known for their bravery and outspokenness, faced extermination at the hands of colonial forces. Here's what went down as colonizers started expanding their territories and taking over native lands. Tensions rose between them and the Charrua people. Frustration boiled over into violent hostilities. But here's an unexpected twist. Initially, the first Uruguayan president, Fructuoso Rivera, actually had a good relationship with the Charrua tribe. However, when push came to shove, he ended up joining forces with the colonizers, leading a devastating campaign called La Campana de Sasapuides in 1831. This horrific event unfolded as 3 separate attacks across different locations, and whispers of betrayal surround the first strike, adding another layer of tragedy to this dark chapter in history. Here's how it went down. President Fructuoso Rivera invited the top Charrua leaders, Polidoro, Rondo, Brown, Juan Pedro, and Venado, to a meeting at his barracks near a river. He promised to chat about defending their state borders together and even asked for their help. But, in a move that's etched in history as a brutal betrayal, the Uruguayan soldiers ambushed the Charrua chiefs while they were drunk and let their guard down. Meanwhile, Rivera had also set up 2 other attacks at different locations where the Charruas lived, and his army went on a mission to wipe out every single member of the tribe. This shocking sequence of events forms the horrific backdrop of La Campana de Sasapuides, a brutal campaign that left its mark on history. But here's what really happened. After President Fructuoso Rivera's shocking betrayal, his nephew Bernabe led the Sasapudes campaign to wipe out the Charrua tribe. The devastating outcome was that this amazing community was officially erased from existence. According to official records, around 40 brave Charruas lost their lives in the brutal attack, while nearly 300 were taken captive and forced on a grueling 260-kilometer march to Montevideo. Once they arrived, these prisoners of war were sold into slavery. What a heart-wrenching twist. But here's an even more surprising fact. The Oriental School in Montevideo saw this as an opportunity to attract the attention of French scientists and the public by showcasing a nearly extinct tribe, highlighting how desperate their situation had become. Fast forward to what happened next. Out of nearly 300 prisoners, 4 remarkable individuals were sold to a Frenchman named François de Corral. Sinakwa Sinek, a powerful medicine man, Vimaka Perusira, a fearless warrior, and Laureano Tacuave Martinez and Maria Micaela Guayanusa, a young couple expecting their first child. In 1833, these 4 brave Charruas were shipped off to Paris, where they became part of a human zoo exhibit for the public's entertainment. Unfortunately, this bizarre display was not what the French had hoped for. It was more like a tragedy. Sadly, all 4 eventually lost their lives in France, including the newborn baby girl adopted by Tacuave from her mother Maria, whom the Charruas lovingly named Maria Monica Micaela Igualdad Libertad. But let's go back to the roots. The tragic tale of these 4 Charruas is a testament to their rich culture, now lost due to heartbreaking circumstances. In remembrance, an awe-inspiring sculpture called Los Últimos Charruas stands tall in Montevideo, Uruguay, honoring the memory of this resilient people. Despite being eradicated as a distinct ethnic group through genocide, the legacy of the Charruas lives on within Uruguayan identity, all woven into both traditions and genetics. But who were these enigmatic Charruas? Where did their story begin? Let's unravel the mystery and uncover the fascinating history that led to this remarkable yet tragic journey. Let's get a glimpse into life as a Charrua, an indigenous community roaming the southern cone of Uruguay, Argentina's Entre Rios, and Brazil's Rio Grande do Sul. These semi-nomadic folks didn't stick to one place. Instead, they traveled with the seasons in search of food and shelter. They thrived on hunting and gathering, their path shaped by the ever-changing environment, rain or drought. It was a constant dance with nature that dictated where they'd go next. No fixed homes for these adventurous Charruas, just the wind in their hair and the vast lands to explore. But here's the thing. Despite what we've learned so far, there's still so much about the Charruas' lives before the Europeans arrived that remains a secret. Why? Well, most of our understanding comes from Spanish records, and let's be real, these accounts might not always be 100% trustworthy. Take Pedro Lozano, a Jesuit chronicler who wrote about the Charruas allegedly killing Juan Diaz de Solis during his 1,515 journey up the Rio de la Plata. This event was significant, as it showed that the Charruas were ready to stand their ground against the Spanish invaders. But even today, we're piecing together fragments of information, like this quote from naturalist and anthropologist Jose Imbayoni. Now let's talk about how the Charruas physically looked like, and get ready for some fascinating details. According to Jose Imbayoni, their skulls were robust with a thick bone structure, especially in those from the southern regions. Their cheekbones were strong, chins prominent, and faces elongated with narrow noses that stretched longer than usual. But here's what might surprise you. Their skeletons were massive and sometimes enormous, giving them an impressive physical build. And it wasn't just about brute size. Imbayoni noted that the proportions of their limbs showed a remarkable balance, making them athletic yet harmonious in appearance. It's like they were nature's perfect blueprint for the human body. So let's dive into what made the Charruas unique visually, and it's not as straightforward as you might think. Physically, males and females looked very similar, with almost no differences between them. Their skin was a stunning, dark bronze color with a smooth, hard texture that glistened in the sun. But despite their striking appearance, the arrival of European settlers brought about some major changes for these indigenous people. They resisted the invasion alongside another group called the Chana, but it wasn't an easy fight. They faced cattle exploitation, which not only disrupted their way of life, but also led to severe famine. As a result, they had to rely on cows and sheep for survival. But ironically, these very animals were becoming increasingly privatized during this time period. Now let's get into some fascinating history about the Charruas. You see, when settlers like the Malones showed up, things took a dark turn. They'd just shoot any indigenous person who got in their way during raids. But before that, the Charrua culture was actually shaped by blending two other groups, the Kangang and the Patagones. Their languages are believed to be part of this cool linguistic family called Mataka Waikaru. Now, about the name Charrua, it's not a straightforward story either. Some historians think it has roots in their own indigenous language, while others believe it might actually come from somewhere else, like the Galician language. One thing we do know is that these weren't just peaceful foragers. They were also fierce warriors, ready to defend themselves and their land. Fast forward through time, and you'll find that the bravery and combat skills of those Charrua warriors made them legends in modern Uruguayan culture. But their stories aren't just about victories, boy. It's also about some pretty intense rituals. During ceremonies, they were believed to drink from the skulls of their enemies, a practice that shows just how deep their warrior spirit ran. And when a loved one passed away, the Charruas took self-mutilation to an extreme level by cutting themselves or even removing finger joints as a form of grief. The Charruas made it clear they wouldn't back down from anyone. They fought against the initial Spanish explorers and sparked 3 whole centuries of resistance and rebellion. And their battles didn't just stop there. They were involved in clashes with other powerful forces like the British, Portuguese, and later Brazilian powers, showing that the Charrua spirit was truly unstoppable. So what ultimately led to the downfall of this fearless tribe, while the devastating massacre of Salcupeides at their settlement certainly played a huge role, leaving many dead and the survivors sold into slavery, it wasn't the only factor that sealed the Charrua culture's fate. The arrival of Europeans was like a domino effect, triggering a series of events that would lead to their decline. Once the Charruas had shown they were forces to be reckoned with on the battlefield, they started trading and intermingling with these new foreigners. But as they welcomed strangers into their world, they unknowingly opened themselves up to diseases they'd never seen before. And this is when a silent but deadly crisis began, a severe disruption in their genetic health that would only continue to worsen over time. Despite the tragedy of Salcupeides, it's a sobering reminder that the Charruas were indeed here, standing strong and proud in ancient Uruguay. So there you have it, a piece of history that refuses to fade away. Although the physical presence of the Charruas may be gone, their legacy lives on in 2 very special ways: through the descendants who carry their bloodline and in the reverence we give to the mighty Charrua warrior in modern Uruguayan culture. It's amazing how one tribe can leave such an indelible